Well, hi everyone. This is Dr. Ben Young. I'm going to be your Medical Terminology 2 professor this term. I want to take you through the Blackboard interface for the course and take a look at a few other things as well. So let's start here. This is the default page that you will come to when you open Blackboard. It's this announcements page, and it says, "Hello and welcome to Medical Terminology 2 Online." Okay, so I put out these announcements almost weekly, and you'll want to read them carefully because I routinely post exam tips and other relevant information that'll help you through the course. So I assume that you're viewing this video by selecting this link here on this page, and I hope that you have selected the gear in the lower right hand corner of the YouTube window to set a high resolution for clarity. I recommend 720p because there'll be a little bit of detail in this tutorial. You can also select the rectangle in the same area of the YouTube window to go to full screen. Okay, there's 2 assignments due this week. It's the only way I can take roll in an online course. There's an attendance quiz, which is located right here in this link on the sidebar. And then I'll want you to reply to my thread in the student community forum. So that'll be right here. So let me go ahead and select this student community forum. And as I click through this, I go to this thread called Tell Me About Yourself. So, hi everybody, I grew up in San Diego surfing the waves of the California coast. I moved to the Northwest about 20 years ago to further my education. So I tell a few things about myself there, but also up here in this instructor information link as well, I tell a little bit more. So what I want you to do is select reply and tell me something about yourself. Why are you taking this class? What do you expect to get out of it? Where did you grow up? Well, you don't have to tell me all these things if you don't want, but these are just some ideas. But I really want to get to know my students and know who's taking my course. And you're certainly welcome to use this throughout the term to communicate with other students, talk about assignments, exams, etc. Okay, well, here's the instructor information link here. And so this tells a little bit about me, but more importantly, let's get to the syllabus. So here we are at the syllabus. It's a fairly lengthy syllabus. Notice that my email address is byoung1@cocc.edu, but please put in the subject line Medical Terminology 2 when you send an email to me. This will help me to respond much faster. Here's some email information regarding the college, so if you have any trouble configuring your email address, then this is where you will want to troubleshoot that. Okay, so there's 3 credit hours for the course. We want you to have taken Medical Terminology 1. We like you to have taken Anatomy and Physiology as well. Here's the textbook for the course, and I assume you use this for Midterm 1. It's an excellent textbook. If you are using any supplemental texts, these are excellent here, so these are our recommendations. All right, so you should have some computer skills for taking an online course. You need to be familiar with Blackboard, know how to access assignments, know how to turn them in before due dates, how to keep track of your grades, how to download files from Blackboard, also know how to submit assignments in Blackboard, and how to initiate and respond to threads in a forum. So this is the second of a 2-quarter sequence. We are going to be covering various bodily systems, including the nervous system, the digestive system, the male reproductive system, the endocrine system, etc. Okay, so these are some of the skills that we're going to be gaining from the course. The use of medical terms or use spelling, English translation, pronunciations, Here's some of the expected outcomes, some of the skills that you will gain. So please read through that. Okay, so here's some of the grading. We're going to have a weekly exam, although the first exam isn't for 2 weeks. And they're each 100 points. Um, we do take into consideration emergency, so read our definitions of what constitutes an emergency. But you do have a throwout. So if you do poorly or if you miss an exam, then you can throw that exam out. Now, I usually grade exam within a few days, but sometimes it can take me longer than that, so be aware of that. As far as viewing your grades, here's how you do that. There's 4 steps to that. You go to View Grades, select the exam and the score, and you will see your exam. You will want to study those for the final. Okay, well, taking the class online, there's some ethical requirements. So be honest with yourself, because the final is a written proctored exam, and you will have to be honest with yourself to do well on it. Okay, here's some tips on the online weekly testing and how to take those tests. Here's a little bit of information about the final exam. The final exam score is not averaged with weekly exams in the event that a final exam score is below 70%. All right, so we also have these 5-point assignments. These are weekly, and they're probably your best resource for studying for the exams. You do get 5 points, which may not seem like a lot, but it adds up to 40 over the term. And that can really make a difference in your grade. But also, these are key for learning what's going to be on the exam. So I highly recommend them, and this is how they would figure into the scoring. This is the unit exam grading here. Very important, if you're going to drop the class, make sure you select this link because how you drop the class changes over the term. Don't assume because you have emailed me and notified me that you're dropping that you will be dropped from the class. You have to usually contact admissions and records as well. Okay, so again, you must pass the final with a score of 70% or above. The student rights and responsibilities we put on all COCC syllabi. Student counseling is available to us free of charge, so keep that in mind. The computer requirements for taking a test online, very important. Here's some descriptions about plagiarism and then an Americans with Disabilities statement. Okay, so that is the syllabus. Okay, my top students use a strategy for doing well in this course called circling the wagons. So, it's no secret that this course requires much memory work. And these are the strategies that I've seen many of my successful students use. Well, they always read the announcements in Blackboard each week because I try to give you some insight into what will be on the exam. They also thoroughly look at the textbook, and the very first few pages of each chapter are very important. They give basic definitions that are prime testing material. They also do the chapter review exercises at the end of the chapter. And I post the answer key in the weekly lessons link on the left side of the page. And we'll take a look at this in a minute. I also provide practice exams. These are also in the weekly lessons link as well. And I provide the key. So my best students also use flashcards. But there's another strategy that I like to use, and that's called the StudyWare quizzes. Now, there's these great quizzes that are on the CD that accompany the textbook. The online version is right here, and if you select that and click through this, it will take you to some chapter quizzes and games. So a prompt will come up for your name, and I just usually type in some random letters and log in. All right, so let's go to, let's see, we're going to have a mental health chapter, which is chapter 23. Here's some quizzes. Here's a practice quiz. So let's just take a look at this. Transferring one's own acceptable thoughts or feelings on someone else is a common defense mechanism known as, I actually know that to be projection, but I'll check my answer, and yes, it is. Projection is the correct answer. And then you click on through to the next one. There's also some games too. Here's a championship game I like. So you can play against an opponent, which is really fun. But if you want to play on your own, then again put in some random letters. And let me select one of these. Let's see. The formula that indicates the composition of a drug is called the generic name, the brand name, or the chemical name. Well, that's probably the chemical name, I bet. That is correct. The chemical name describes the formula that indicates the composition of the drug. So these can be really fun and a break from other study methods. All right, going back to the circling the wagons. The PowerPoint slides are also a great strategy for studying for the exams. And once the students have gone through some of these methods for studying, they randomly rotate through all the materials until they have achieved mastery. And this is called circling the wagons. Notice this, and this is a big key. My best students don't work alone. So they recruit family members, significant others, and anyone else they can find to grill them. In a word, they collaborate. So keep this in mind. So recognition questions such as multiple choice, true, false, and matching are far easier than recall questions. Recall questions are questions like short answer and fill in the blank. So those are the tough ones, and that's what working with a partner does, is partners ask you to come up with answers, recall questions, not just recognize the correct answer from a list. So that's really knowing the subject matter. I regularly see my students' grades go up and down based on whether they collaborate, and besides, it's more fun. Anyway, that's circling the wagons. Try it. It works. Okay, let's take a look at the weekly lessons. So this is where I put many of these resources. So I'm going to jump to the mental health chapter. And by default, it comes up with the PowerPoint. So this would be an abbreviated method of studying, perhaps something that you would do after you've read the textbook. So you could have someone who knows nothing about medical terminology ask you to define, for example, a defense mechanism, or they could provide the answer to you, a body's unconscious reaction to protect itself from conflicts or anxieties, and you would have to come up with the phrase defense mechanism. So this is a nice way to collaborate with other individuals. Here's a recognition question here, and these would be recall questions here. What is compensation? What is denial? Okay, so at the end of each chapter, there's chapter review exercises, which are just excellent. Hey, I provide all the answers for you. So here they are. Don't have to go looking for them. They can be fantastic. Here's a practice exam. So here's multiple choice for chapter 23. And then here's some matching. Okay, and some spelling. Okay, and then here's some fill in the blank. Those are the tough ones, aren't they? So, but here's the answers. So here's the practice exam key right there. So you really have a lot of resources. You have PowerPoint, you have the chapter review questions, you have the practice exam, you have the study where questions, and now you also have the 5-point assignments. So I'll post these each week as well. You need to turn them in before you take the exam, and you will be just filling out the key competencies file and the review words file. Now sometimes I provide other files for you just to help you study for the exam, but those are the two that you will hand in to get your 5 points. More importantly, they're probably your most important resource for knowing what's on the exam. So you'll want to read through this post as well here, and that'll tell you a little more exactly about how to use these files. Okay, so let's go to the exams link. This post will tell you how to take the exams. You'll have 30 minutes to finish your test. Notice that they open on Thursdays by noon of each week and close at 11:55 on Sundays. And you'll want to use the quick calendar link on the left side of this page if you have any questions regarding the dates of the exam. Okay, well, that's it. You know, many of my physician friends say they didn't get medical terminology until they were in medical school. So, wow, you're really taking on a lot. So make sure that you commit. I'm going to recommend somewhere between 10 and 15 hours a week to this course to really do well. Well, thanks for joining my class. I look forward to seeing you online.